Nobody really loves being kidnapped, but in a way, this is exactly what these teens asked for. On a trip to discover the truth behind one of Finland's darkest unsolved mysteries, 4 teens learn that the villain in this decades-old case may still be doing what he does best. And to make things worse, the teens themselves are keeping secrets from each other that will threaten their very lives. It would be a stretch to say that Otta and Elias are friends, but with swimsuits borrowed from Elias' mother, they can accomplish a shared goal to recreate the 1960 attack on 4 teens at Lake Bodom. But they'll need help. One of the victims will be played by Ida, a girl from a religious family who's been recently disgraced after someone at school took revealing photos of her while she was passed out at a party. They'll also need props like the hatchet used by the attacker who was never found. And they'll need Nora, Ida's best friend, who will be posing as one of the other 3 victims who didn't make it out alive. And if they can get a fun camping trip out of it as well, then maybe Ida can start fresh and put her recent embarrassments behind her. Elias worries that the nerdy and somewhat depressing Otta might ruin his other plans with the girls. But once Ida and Nora finish getting ready, the trip is underway. Elias wastes little time in starting to chat up Nora as they wait in traffic, although Ida feels pretty much everything he says about women is either ignorant or simply wrong. But Ida's differences with Elias aren't the biggest problem. When Nora asks if the rest of their friends are already at the lake, it's clear that Otta lied to the girls to get them on this trip. And it will become clear soon enough that he's not the only one who can't be trusted. When they stop to relieve themselves, Elias throws Otta's crime scene photos in the road and confronts him for lying to the girls. Otta says it's the only way he could get them to come. They continue driving, passing by an animal sanctuary and arriving at the park near the lake. Otta checks the map and leads them to a chained-off passage where he tells Elias to get the hatchet. After breaking through the chain, they drive through the woods until they reach the lake. The girls are immediately confused when they don't see a cabin, revealing another lie by Otta. But that night, he explains to Ida that this reenactment is important to him because he wants to test a theory he has about the 1960 attacks. While setting up their tent with Elias, Otta gives him grass and tells him to make sure the girls smoke it. Nora and Elias are more than happy to, but Ida turns it down. When Otta says it's about time to get started, Elias and Nora instead go swimming before drinking by the fire. Otta, meanwhile, explains his theory to Ida. While many suspected the one surviving teen of attacking the other 3, he thinks it was someone experienced. How else could they take on multiple victims who are fighting for their lives? He suspects someone familiar with the forest, perhaps a hunter. But if he's right, could this person still be out there? Either way, he won't be testing his theory tonight, as Elias and Nora decided to head into the tent for some alone time. Otta tells Ida that it's hard being from a religious family, especially after the incident with the photos. He tries to assure her that she survived it and that she's here now, but she points out that she's only here because he lied to her. As they prepare to head for the tent, Otta peers into the darkness and asks if Otta's sure nobody else is out there. She then goes to wash herself by the lake, but stops when she sees Elias watching her. Otta enters the tent with Nora. He gets the sense she doesn't like him, and she admits she's only there for Elias. Later that night, Ida wakes to noises outside. She wakes up Nora, who tells Elias there's someone outside the tent. He goes to take a look, and they all wait in silence. They call for Elias, getting no response, but it turns out to just be a prank. As Elias double-checks the tent spikes are secure, Nora goes to relieve herself and Elias runs after her. Meanwhile, Otta tells Ida he needs to talk to her about the photos. He appears to know who took them, but he's cut short when the tent collapses. He exits the tent, seeing a fallen branch on top of it, and assumes it's a prank by Elias. He sees no one, but he's not as alone as he appears to be. Otta tells Ida that the others are pulling a prank and he thinks they should get back at them. But as boots approach from behind, a blade is plunged into Otta's back. As Nora shines her flashlight flashlight on the surrounding woods, she hears Ida screaming her name. She starts running to help, but she's soon tackled by Elias. He says the others are just fooling around and it's nothing to worry about, yet Ida's screaming continues. Elias and Nora run for the campsite where they find Ida standing over a severely injured Ota as he struggles to breathe. He tells them to go before his attacker returns. Elias grabs the hatchet and runs for it with the others as Ota draws his final breaths. Elias worries that they should have stayed with Ota, not realizing it's already too late. They all stop as they hear something behind them. Recognizing the sound of footsteps, they begin to run. Nora soon falls and twists her ankle. The others try to catch her, but she stops by a tree and tells them to go on without her. Elias gives her the hatchet before running with Ida in search of help. When they become lost, Ida starts to panic. Elias tells her they need to remain quiet and keep it together. Nora, meanwhile, waits by the tree, but she'll be rejoining the group sooner than they think. When Ida suggests it might be too late for Ota, Elias admits that they aren't really friends. Ida suspects Elias only came on the trip for Nora, although he says they didn't actually sleep together. As Ida begins marching off, Elias stops her and says that he came on the trip for her. He's been wanting to talk to her about the leaked photos, and he reveals what Ota was trying to say earlier. The pictures don't exist. He tried to find them, but he and Ota learned that everyone at school who claimed to see them was actually lying. She doesn't believe him, however, as Nora saw the photos herself. Ida seems to think that Elias was the one who took them, but he says his heart beats for her, until a knife abruptly stops it beating completely. As a hooded figure stabs him repeatedly, Ida watches coldly. His attacker is revealed to be Nora, who planned this with Ida from the beginning as revenge for the pictures. They carry the boys' bodies to the lake and weigh them down before dropping them in the water. Their next plan is to drive back to town and sink the car, but Nora realizes Elias still has the keys. They return to the lake where Ida dives into the water and opens Elias's body bag. Nora sees a light blinking in the distance, but Ida resurfaces with the keys and they return to the car. Nora hugs her friend and starts the engine, but there's still one lie about the trip that's yet to be revealed. Ida starts to wonder about what Elias told her, but Nora says that if she hadn't seen the pictures, she wouldn't be helping Ida in the first place. When Ida pushes for specifics about what was shown in the photos, Nora says it's better if she doesn't know. Ida then says the car isn't the final link tying them to Ota and Elias. If they really want to get away with it, they shouldn't be seen together anymore. Nora becomes angry, calling Ida ungrateful and saying her parents are right to look down on her. She recovers and tries to apologize for her outburst, but Ida tells her that if Nora really loves her, she'll be honest about whether the photos were real. Nora finally comes clean. She had been jealous when Ida developed a crush on Elias. One day, when the boys ran through the women's locker room, she noticed Ida's embarrassment and got an idea. She spiked Ida's drink at a party and put her to bed, then started the rumors herself. They spread like wildfire when other students started claiming they'd seen the photos. She just needed a scapegoat, and Elias was the most logical choice. With everyone in the school judging Ida, Nora was all she had left. Nora hadn't anticipated the actual bullying, but when Ida said she wished Elias were gone, Ota's search for women to play the victims in his reenactment offered the perfect opportunity to give Ida what she wanted. Now that the truth is out, will Ida forgive Nora, or will their friendship crash and burn? Ida decides they need to tell the truth when they get back, so naturally Nora hits her with a wrench. Ida fights back, but they soon come across someone standing in front of a tow truck. Nora swerves to avoid him and hits her head on the steering wheel. She's banged up, yet mostly okay. But when Nora tries to wake Ida, she doesn't respond. The man approaches with a flashlight and knocks on the glass. Nora rolls down the window and he asks if they're okay, but Nora asks him to put the light away. He returns to his truck and runs a tow line to the car as Ida wakes up. Since he's seen their faces, Nora decides they need to take him out. She's packed her own knife and asks to borrow Ida's, but Ida didn't bring one. Nora asks what Ida used to stab Ota, but Ida thought that was Nora's doing. As they realize what this means, the man starts towing their car at unlawfully fast speeds. Nora tries opening her door to jump out. He swerves the car into a tree and jams it shut. Nora tells Ida to get in the back, and they open the door to jump, but they soon hit a bump and the car flies into the air, flipping multiple times on impact. They lie unconscious in the overturned car as the man continues hauling it behind him until the tow line breaks, but he's not about to just leave them behind. Ida wakes as the truck pulls up to the car. She tries to wake Nora as the man gets out and approaches. Nora wakes up saying they need to go, but Ida's hurt her leg. She tells Nora to go without her. When Nora runs off, the man turns and returns to the truck. He lets loose his dog and it chases after her. She tries to run, but Ida listens as Nora screams in the distance. Ida's eyes open the following morning as the car rolls into the lake. Her mouth is sealed shut. She's left that way until nightfall, when it's revealed that she and Nora are bound and dressed in the swimsuits Elias brought on the trip. The man sits by the fire with his muzzled dog sharpening his knife. As he removes their hoods, they grow terrified yet unable to scream. He grabs Ida and brings her to the tent, laying her next to Elias's body. He then approaches Nora and takes her by the hair, bringing her to the tent as well. He grabs his knife as Ida and Nora realize they're spending their final moments together. Sometime later, a new group of campers visits Lake Bodom and tell Ida's story. She's woken the following morning in front of her parents' house. When police were unable to find the man and his dog, Ida was blamed for everything, and the mystery of Lake Bodom continues to remain unsolved. Click the videos on screen right now.